all you pretty things. Hey, what's up? Welcome to another edition of Wheel of Albums, along with my brother Adam and our friend Jack. I'm Justin. What we do here on Wheel of Albums is we spin a wheel of the 1001 albums you must hear before you die. Then the three of us listen to that album for the week. And we come together at the end of the week to decide if this album is worth listening to before you die. This week I spun the wheel, and we got Judas Priest, their 1980 album, British Steel. I was kind of excited whenever this got spun. I've listened to it a couple times before. Don't own it. It's something I've never realized before either was they got their start in the 70s. They had 5 albums leading up to this album. I always thought this was near the beginning of their discography.
British Steel by Judas Priest came up, and I was happy because I prefer to listen to records that I may have some familiarity with. Figured I would know at least 3 or 4 songs, and I did, knowing Breaking the Law and Living After Midnight and Grinder, I think. I saw them in concert, and I think it was on a live album or 2 as well. So I was looking forward to this spin.
Finding out British Steel by Judas Priest was the album this week was, all right, some British metal with some bite to it. Let's go. I love this album.
Jack, maybe you can help out with this. I've never known where to put Judas Priest and the whole realm of 80s metal bands. Where do you think they fit in compared to bands that came out with similar releases in the 80s?
There was late night radios. They would call it metal shop or heavy metal on the Pittsburgh radio stations at nighttime. It was kind of in the middle. It was in the middle of that kind of sludgy heavy metal and the what later became known as hair metal or glam metal, but they're definitely not thrash. They played faster than Thin Lizzy, that's for sure. I appreciated what they did.
Being the 80s metal guy that you are, Adam, where would you put Judas Priest in the whole scheme of things?
I have to say that they rank, a step below Black Sabbath, above Rainbow. I think I'd equal them out on the same playing field as, we'll say, Iron Maiden and I guess Def Leppard fit into that category, I think, of what I think of early 80s British metal.
Let's focus, instead of their entire career, let's focus on British Steel in Point of Entry era, and let's go, they are above Crocus, but below Iron Maiden.
I always had them around the Scorpions, but, after a good week with British Steel, I'd have to put them in the same category as Ace of Spades. Maybe just step down from Ace of Spades and Motorhead. But let's not get too crazy. So talking about British Steel, this album is compact. Every song on here feels trimmed down and ready to rock. My preconception of Judas Priest probably stems a lot from when they had a lawsuit against them, the controversy around that, and also just seeing Rob Halford just ride his bike onto a stage. I thought these guys were just full of gimmicks and stuff. So to me, that's why this album, British Steel, has always been a revelation that these guys were not full of gimmicks and whistles and stuff. And this album is a lean machine where every song rocks.
So there's really not a bad song on the album. Dig a little deeper. I kind of like how Rapid Fire and Metal Gods kind of lead and bleed into Breaking the Law and how it transitions into that. United's a great song. That's the one that caught my attention the first time I had listened to the album. And
the United is interesting too because it's more like an anthem. I just assumed it was for soccer, but then reading the articles, it was that some soccer teams eventually picked up on it, or they didn't write it to support any particular football club.
One that grew on me the most out of the 3 listens this time was The Rage. I really like that one.
So the 2 standouts, we'll take those out of the equation. And I wasn't super familiar with the other songs other than maybe Grinder. And so that was good. Steeler, and then the Rage. Just kind of hearing that and learning about the backstory of that. It's almost like the Police and Judas Priest did a mashup. I really enjoy that beginning and how it organically transforms into a Judas Priest song from a kind of a reggae-ish Police type of beginning.
Beyond Breaking the Law and Living After Midnight, The Rage was a great find. I love the background story of that, Jack. I agree with it. And also Metal Gods, just there's something simplistic about the chorus. That became one of my favorites this week. Metal Gods.
There were quite a few interesting tales.
I mean, the stories weren't really debauchery like you would hear maybe with Black Sabbath's Volume 4.
They had holed up in Ringo Starr's compound that also had a recording studio in it.
Listen, fellas, don't get any cocktail dip on John Lennon's Imagine Piano there, please.
And he left a list of things they were not allowed to do. He wasn't there at the time. He was like in Los Angeles.
They did all the don'ts.
So if he told them to do something, they broke that rule.
You know, hijinks like taking Ringo Starr's cutlery drawer and dropping it on the ground for sound effects on Metal Gods. I like how KK Downing reminds you that it's Ringo's knives and forks that were the true Metal Gods on that album.
And also the fact that they set up giant papier-mâché dinosaurs. So when they came back from the pubs, these giant dinosaurs scared them to death while they were drunk on the way home every night is hysterical, along with the inception of Living After Midnight.
Never in a million years would I think my favorite Judas Priest song would have the inception that it did. I always thought that song was about getting out and partying down after midnight, getting loaded.
With Rob Halford being upset that they were playing music literally after midnight.
Now you can't ignore Rob Halford possibly being in a long nightshirt with a nightcap on, Ebenezer Scrooge style, telling the boys to keep it down because it's past midnight.
You guys turn that blimey music off. I'm trying to get some sleep.
And that becoming the foundation for
Don't you know it's after midnight?
Living After Midnight.
Loaded!
You got to go with that as a winner.
A band just about ready to break through, relaxed, having a good time. That's what the feel of British Steel is, and I love it.
I really do find British Steel to be a special album. I can't pinpoint one favorite thing or one thing that stands out the most. And it's just a well put together, produced, thought out album that is just straightforward, in your face, and gets to the point. Just 9 really great songs that come straight at you.
All right, in 12 albums, this has been our highest rated album yet. Taking all the songs from 1 to 10 and averaging out the score 7.41. Me and Adam with the same score as 7.78, and Jack with the 6.67. Our 3 favorite songs on British Steel: Living After Midnight, Breaking the Law, and The Rage.
That you don't have to be old to be wise. Not that great of a song, but he's really stretching his screech where they really let Rob Halford let loose a little bit more. Should you listen to British Steel by Judas Priest before you die? I think it holds an important slot in the British heavy metal transition into American heavy metal, and the popularity of American heavy metal is attributed to Breaking the Law and Living After Midnight. So I'm going to go with yes, British Steel by Judas Priest is an album that you should listen to before you die. Whether you wear a nightgown and a nightcap or not, you should listen to this.
I find something really charming about British metal there in the early 80s. They were onto something, and to catch bands like Motorhead, Iron Maiden, even some early Def Leppard, British Steel is something I think you should listen to before you die. Not just because of its place in 80s metal history, but because this album, like I said before, it is lean, it's fun, no frills, just a good time, just some rockin'. Adam, what do you think?
For British Steel and Judas Priest, I say absolutely. This is a very essential early 80s metal album that gives you a feel for what that genre is all about, and is just a standout, straight in your face, great metal rock album. So yes, listen to it, enjoy it, take it in, and live after midnight.
Hey, I love it when we're all in unison as far as saying, yes, listen to this album. British Steel is our 3rd album of 12 that we all agree on. And a little side note, if you haven't watched the video for Breaking the Law, go back and watch that. That is entertaining as well.
You are appreciated.
That's right, Jack. You, the listener, are appreciated. And we love that you're listening to the podcast. We're 12 in, still in the early phases of 1001 albums. But if you get a chance on Spotify, give the poll a vote of whether you think British Steel is something you should hear before you die. If you're on YouTube, subscribe, give us a like there too, and you'll get a new episode every Monday. Adam, it's your turn to spin that wheel.
Up next on the Wheel of Albums, the wheel's been spun, and our next listen's gonna be Boy in the Corner by Dizzy Rascal. Time to get some British rap going on.
All right, 2003 Boy in the Corner is next. I am Justin, and for Adam and Jack, we hope you all have a good week, and we'll see you next time for Dizzy Rascal and Wheel of Albums. Take care.